On the morning of July 11, 1943, paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division crouched behind crumbling stone walls on the outskirts of Gela, Sicily. German tanks from the Hermann Göring Division rumbled down the dusty road toward the beaches, where American soldiers were still waiting ashore. Supply ships lingered offshore. If these tanks reached the shore, thousands could die, and the entire invasion might fail. The paratroopers had been in Sicily for barely 19 hours. Most had never seen combat, and the only weapon they had capable of stopping a tank was a 5-foot metal tube called the bazooka. Its official name was the M1 rocket launcher, but soldiers nicknamed it after a musical instrument played by radio comedian Bob Burns. They had fired it only in training. Now they would face armored veterans of campaigns across Europe and North Africa. Before the bazooka, infantry faced tanks with little hope. Anti-tank rifles existed but were heavy, underpowered, and suicidal to use against modern armor. Light anti-tank guns could work but were slow to move and exposed crews to fire. Close assaults with grenades or mines were deadly. Fewer than 1 in 5 survived. The United States Army needed a solution. A lightweight, portable weapon that could allow a single soldier to destroy a tank. The answer came from 2 officers. Major Leslie Skinner, a West Point graduate fascinated by rockets since childhood, and Lieutenant Edward Uhl, a brilliant engineer. They developed the idea of a shaped charge, a hollowed explosive that could focus energy to penetrate armor, and mounted it on a rocket. Early rockets had a deadly flaw. Exhaust burned the shooter. The breakthrough came when Uhl found a scrap metal tube. Realizing that firing the rocket from a tube would vent the gases safely while guiding the projectile accurately. Within hours, they built a crude prototype, added a wooden shoulder stock, improvised sights from a wire coat hanger, and tested it. It worked. By May 1942, Skinner and Uhl demonstrated the launcher at Aberdeen Proving Ground. General Gladden Marcus Barnes, impressed, fired the weapon himself, and the nickname bazooka stuck. Production began immediately. General Electric delivered 5,000 launchers and 25,000 rockets in just 30 days, one of the fastest weapons development efforts in U.S. history. The first bazookas reached North Africa in September 1942. British troops tested them but felt desert conditions made them too vulnerable. American troops received them during Operation Torch, but few had training. Early rockets were unreliable, sometimes failing to fire or detonating prematurely. Yet reports from Tunisia showed tanks could be destroyed by this new weapon. The psychological impact on German crews was immediate. Infantry could now fight tanks effectively. German forces captured some bazookas and studied them. Recognizing the revolutionary nature of the weapon, Germany produced its own versions, the Panzer Schreck and other rocket launchers. But they were heavier and more cumbersome. The U.S. had created a portable, accurate, mass-producible, tank-killing weapon, changing infantry versus armor dynamics forever. Back in Sicily, Colonel James Gavin gathered scattered paratroopers near Piazza Ridge. His mission: disrupt German communications and prevent counterattacks on the beaches. Facing the elite Hermann Göring Division, Gavin positioned bazooka teams to target tanks from the sides and rear, while riflemen and machine gunners protected them. When German tanks advanced, American paratroopers held their fire until the tanks entered effective range. Rockets streaked across the morning sky, striking tanks, sometimes penetrating armor, other times targeting tracks. Even when shots missed, the psychological effect was profound. Tank crews hesitated, advancing cautiously where they had previously charged confidently. The battle at Piazza Ridge lasted all morning. American reinforcements, including Sherman tanks and artillery, began arriving by afternoon. The Hermann Göring Division withdrew. The paratroopers' stand had not destroyed the division, but had shown that infantry could fight and survive against tanks, a revolutionary shift. German armored units now had to consider infantry with bazookas a serious threat. During later campaigns, the bazooka continued to prove its value. Captain Murray Pulver used one to destroy tanks in France, earning the Distinguished Service Cross. Technical Sergeant Van Thomas Barut disabled 3 Mark VI tanks in Italy at Curano, rescuing wounded soldiers and earning the Medal of Honor. Staff Sergeant Isidore Jackman, during the Battle of the Bulge, charged open ground to stop 2 German tanks, dying heroically while saving his company. By 1945, Nearly 500,000 bazookas had been produced, along with over 15 million rockets. Every Allied nation received the weapon through lend-lease or aid. Free French forces, Britain, Canada, China, Brazil, and the Soviet Union employed them. The bazooka became a global symbol of portable anti-tank power. Post-war, Skinner and Ull's innovation continued to influence military design. Ull rose to lead Fairchild Industries, overseeing tank-killing aircraft development. Skinner contributed to rocket and missile programs. Modern anti-tank weapons, from the Javelin to the Dragon missile, trace their roots to the bazooka. The bazooka had transformed warfare. Infantry were no longer helpless against armor. Tanks lost their invincibility. Psychological dominance shifted as crews learned every building, hedge, or ditch could conceal a soldier capable of destroying their vehicle. German veterans recounted the fear and stress induced by this new weapon. What began with a scrap tube and the ingenuity of two officers changed the balance of power between infantry and armor. From Sicily to Normandy, Korea, and beyond, the legacy of the bazooka proved that necessity, innovation, and industrial capacity could redefine combat. Infantry could hunt tanks, and courage paired with technology could rewrite the rules of war.